started. Okay, I started.
Oh, okay, so you started. So where we last left off on Fantasy High, the party was trapped on Calypso with no real way to escape the prison world. Unbeknownst to them, there was a secret plan put in motion on the other side of the universe by Luna, Nico the Watcher, and I'm forgetting the third character. I believe, though, it was meant to be. Holy shit. I'm forgetting characters' names. Aelwyn. The three of them had come together, combining Aelwyn's divination magic, Nico's just general knowledge of the multiverse and how it works, and Luna's goddess status to come together and plead for the gods of Calypso to release the party, with the stipulation that they have a week to make their journey and leave the planet. In doing so, however, Luna managed to manipulate the stars to put the brightest star in the night sky always in the direction they had to go. So even if the route had twisted or turned, the star would follow that path, leading the party out of Calypso and free at last. And from there, they would finally touch back base at home, back in Somerstead. And after years upon years of being away, they would come back to realize Somerstead is very different than how they left it, but rather than progressing forward intact, it seems it's actually stagnated and in many ways regressed as they've learned of this Fey Queen who's kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes. So, what the party ends up doing in Somerstead is they hunt these sort of infected people known as the Blighted. And the Blighted are people who genuinely only feel one emotion. And there's four types of them: there's hungry, there's angry, there's lonely, and there's another one that I can't think of right now, so sorry about that. But the Sorrow Sorn is what they were called, actually. And they would hunt these Sorrow Sorn creatures and pretty much try to root them out of the very foundation of Somerstead, as a large percentage of the population were these mindless sort of entities, almost like walking blank slates. And when they turned into massive hulking monsters, only capable of expressing that one emotion. Upon finding the source of this place coming from their old mall, sort of hideout, they went in, they investigated, and deep down within the sewers, they found would look to be a makeshift Balro, um, a makeshift Grace, and Gina, as well as what seemed to be Marka's burning corpse. And that's when it was revealed that Marka had been the Fairy Queen, and not only had she been the Fairy Queen, and had she been responsible for the Sorrow Sorn, she was actually acting under the thrall of a false Hydra who was consuming everybody's memories and knew almost everything about the party up until the point they left, meaning the party were able to use their new abilities and help from their new friends, such as Nyx, and that's really it, to pretty much overwhelm the creature, defeating it, defeating Marka, and releasing Somerstead from its pretty much imprisonment. Um, with this, Marka would be sent to prison. Um, However, the party was able to intercede on her behalf, and instead she only goes to a psychiatric institute. And the next year or two are relatively calm. There's been no contact from Desire since he's killed Jafon and Corey, to which they've both been revived since. And everything seemed calm. For the first time in years, the party was able to go out and just have normal adventures like drinking. Unfortunately, Levine did not return with the party to the material plane, instead opting out to go see Aelwyn again upon discovering that Desire had tricked him into believing that Aelwyn had abandoned him. So this would be around the time when he's finally making it back home, and everything looks good on the horizon until One day, there's a knock at Drafon's door. Ozymandias and Corey Jr., as well as Coraline, all sit crowded around the TV watching Saturday morning cartoons. He would open the door, and his face shifts from a calm and gentle smile to a face of utter disgust and anguish as Desire stands there, a bespoke black suit, red ivory leaves kind of decorating it. Just this euphoric gaze in his eyes, a smile eyed, as Jafan utters the phrase, "This can't be," in pure terror and shock. And to which Desire says, "Oh, but it is, little D. Oh, but it is. You're not going to invite your brother in?" And to which Jafan quickly tries to step outside the door, shutting it behind him, but Desire pushes past. "What's up, family?" And to which Corey and her mother, Fandriel, would be in the kitchen, making some pancakes, something quick. This is really how they spent most of their time, just bonding through cooking, after spending a little over a decade apart. They would both turn, eyes wide, in horror. And as Corey reaches for her crossbow upon the table, he just holds up his hand, almost as if he's using two fingers to make like a gun motion, and then gestures it over towards the kids, to which she slowly backs off. He's like, "Come now, I've just come to see my family before my big day." To which Jafan would finally chime in, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he's like, "Come, come. We have much to discuss." As he would infernally step, blinking in and out of existence in an inferno of flames, from the front door to a chair laid at the table. And looking around, he'd say, "Come on, sit now, let's not be rude." To which Jafan would hurriedly make his way over. Vandriel looks at Corey, to which Corey just nods and makes her way over, making sure she tucks a kitchen knife in her back pocket. Desire's just like, "I don't get a plate?" To which Corey's like, "You can go fuck yourself." And he's gonna laugh as he replies, "Come on, such vulgar language in front of the kids." And he's gonna turn, to which Coraline looks distressed. Being the oldest, she recognizes something's wrong. So she tries to grab Ozzy and Corey Jr. to go, "Come on, we should go upstairs." Or actually, I think the Green Springs are home. We should go next door. To which, as they get to the front door, it slams in front of them. And they hear the locks click as Desire says, "Oh, that won't be necessary, kiddos. Watch your cartoons. Here, let Uncle Desire get you some breakfast." And he's gonna snap his fingers as 6 cambions appear into the kitchen and beginning to make them all plates. Um, Moving forward, Jafon's just like, "So what? You came here to just rub it in, eat breakfast, be a dick? No, you're here for something." He's like, "Yes, well, you know, I just wanted to stop by before my big day. I see your TV's already on. I don't have to tell you that. Oh, make sure you text your little friends. Let them know I'm back." And with that, he blinks out, leaving the Cambions inside the house. Corey and Jafan look around confused. His big day, he kept mentioning that. But they had no idea what horrors awaited them. Pause the recording.
Bet,
What?
please.
Alright. So, um, with Desire being gone, Jafon's just gonna send a text into a group chat known as Dick and Friends. Um, of just Desire's back, and Marcy's bubble's gonna appear typing, and then it's gonna just say, "Cool, just waxed, by the way," and then like a censored photo. Um, as everybody starts to like open the chat and see, Desire's back, and with that, everybody's TVs would come on in their own homes. Marcy would just be laying there like laughing because like inside of like the censored photo, if you tap on it, is just like, what is this universe's version of Patrick Star drooling? And she thinks it's the funniest thing ever. before her TV cuts on, and suddenly she sees a news reporter sitting there, saying, bre- breaking news. My name is reporter Lindsay. Oh, bitch. Oh, look at me. Does the teleprompter have the stuttering? Read it. Um, worthless news. Fuck. And you're just gonna see Desire like slowly storm into frame with the camera. He's gonna like fix his suit as he's carrying what seems to be a bloody burlap sack. And as he drops it onto the news reporter's table, you can see a bunch of heads roll out. These would be the heads of the world leaders. And as the camera starts to pan, it's like, I know where your family lives. And you can see the camera slowly goes back, showing all the heads in frame. Um, where were you? Oh, yes, breaking news. And he gives the camera a sly little wink. All the old dickheads, these guys, and he's gonna pick up like one of the world leaders' heads, a balding man, hair mostly on the sides, making like a comb over. He's gonna use like his fingers, like stick it in his mouth. Dead, dead as a doorknob. The world is in chaos, reeling actually. Millions of people are terrified, and I know what you're thinking. I know you want to turn the TV off. I know you want to hide the channel, but I'll tell you now, if you do that, and his eyes are going to glow red, and everybody watching would feel this powerful psionic presence almost like force itself into their minds. You'll die. And in that instant, the camera would like cut, and you would just see thousands of people just falling over dead. Now, I know many of you are probably wondering, what is this handsome devil doing? What is his plans? What does he want? Am I safe? Well, to answer all your questions, no. But also, my name is Desire. And what I want is change. And he's gonna like kind of gesture around. No more crusty old kings. No more corrupt, pudgy presidents. No more cowardly prime ministers. No more puppet masters pulling strings. No more of the weak pretending to be wise. I am handing power back to those who deserve it. The strong, the fierce, the ruthless, as he clenches his fist, and it bursts into a ball of flames. This world, it's been soft for too long. Empires built on pity, nations defended by lies, but not anymore. From this moment on, your world will obey two laws. Take what you want and obey me, he says as his eyes turn red once again and the room would start to shift and crack as blood would begin to pour from the walls before he like slowly contains himself, buttoning up his suit just a little bit higher. You want safety? Make it. You want peace? Earn it. You want to live? Kill for it. As he smiles. In 72 hours, my pet, Calfaxis, is set to wake. Not a beast, not a god. It's a nightmare I bound with my bare hands. A demonic god who will unleash hellfire like this world has ever known. You want to stop me? Feel free. Gather your armies, cast your spells, call upon your gods. Bring every last hope, every last ounce of hope you have left, as he grins. And I'll make sure to crush it all. Let the chaos begin. And as he says this, he holds out his palm, facing the window behind him, and it would shatter as the wall itself explodes outwards. And like behind him in the background would be a massive metropolitan city. And he's going to simply take his left hand and raise his pointer finger as a swirling ball of fire starts to encircle it and then hover, and it gets faster and faster before he points it in the direction of the city. And there is a massive explosion. And as the explosion happens, you can see the camera slowly pan up to the sky, where there is a live kill counter. 2,003,771, 2,003,812, 2,003,945, and it begins counting higher and higher and higher. And with that, the camera cuts, and you are greeted with this song coming over the radio station. Every channel, does not matter. As Corey, Ozzy, and Cora sit in front of a TV traumatized. Jafon's hands are shaking as he looks at his phone. And with that, like, the world immediately begins erupting into riots, protests, fights over stores and supplies. Weapon stores are being raided. Militaries are being deployed. National Guard, Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force trying to get their citizens to calm down. The world is in a state of panic. 2 million people dead. And worst of all, beneath the kill counter, there's a timer that has yet to start counting backwards. It's set at 72 hours. Everybody is looking around. And now we would cut to Morgan in his room. Caspian had been out with Ajax, her boyfriend, um, who had been, they had been together since they actually got back. Ajax is the leader of Imperial Blade. Um, Morgan would be in his room alone when all of a sudden he hears a knock at his bedroom door. Caspian, is that you? No reply. Caspian? And then he sees a black feather rocking back and forth, slowly hovering as it descends towards the earth. And he would instinctively grab his gun. And as he turns back to the door, ready to shoot, Desire has his hand on the slide of the gun, having slid it back. Already, no bullets fire as he squeezes the trigger repeatedly. Oh no, Morgan. It's no way to greet me, man. After all, you took care of your kid. And his eyes flicker, and that's a sore spot for Morgan, as he is yet to even meet Junior, as Junior died in a tragic car accident years before he ever made it home. Come, we have a lot to catch up on. He would smile. They would go out to the table, um, and he starts to notice some oddities, like paintings with no faces. Everything seems slightly blurry, almost barely obscured. So, Morgan, how's the wife? How's the kids? Oh, you don't have any kids. Sore spot? As Morgan clicks his teeth. What do you want? Says, well, you heard my little message, didn't you? Yeah, and I wasn't impressed, to say the least. It's just another desperate outcry of attention from a desperate devil. Whatever you say, Morgan. I just wanted to come see you one last time. You know, for old time's sake. He said, they want to get rid of me. Desire's gonna lay a gun up on the table, and without hesitation, Morgan grabs it and unloads the entire clip into Desire's head and torso. And when Desire's body fades, he can see he is shot through the front door of the house, and lying in Ajax's arms is Caspian. As he just hears Desire's laugh, and within moments the house is hit by agents of the Ministry of Magic, kicking in his door, kicking in his walls. Jafon's house is a storm of soldiers. Everybody's house is being broken into, as it seems Desire has made his rounds very, very quickly, hitting everybody's house, informing them, taunting them, perhaps even reminiscing a bit with them. But none of that mattered now. The Ministry of Magic needed to come up with a defense, and it needed those who knew most about Desire and his motives. The party was all rounded up and taken to the Ministry of Magic's home base inside of a very tropical archipelago. Among the home base, they would meet several new adventurers. All of these are agents of the MM who have been acting in different parts of the universe or even the multiverse. just trying to maintain order, trying to fight back demons and devils wherever they invaded, trying to hold some sense of normalcy in the worlds they protected. Among them, the one who stood out most was Sir Arthur Pendragon, who was a very loyal and very regal knight of the MM, and who, it was revealed, had a very detailed past with Bishop, the one who protected Morgan for most of his life. As it turns out, they have a kid together who goes by Rook. It is also around this time that Morgan learns Bishop's true name, Illustriel Silverhand. Um, Illustriel, being a daughter of Mistra, makes her one of the more powerful people of the ministry, but not the most powerful. Among them, plenty, plenty of soldiers would begin coming from Seraph, Pedro Sunsnarl, a detective inside of the MM, upholding everybody to higher standards, Nylon Nigis, a chronomancer warlock who has made a deal with a timeless entity known as Ouroboros. Just powerful individuals, um, all pretty much gathering together for the sole fact of defeating Desire. Days would go into planning as they realize that that counter is going to start going down soon, and they have 72 hours to defeat Desire, or they don't know what will happen. Um, the party gets a little training arc, but for the most part, it seems everything is lost. Milo Fogridge, leader of the Blue Rose Guild, his right hand being Lynn, or Valora actually, his girlfriend, his wife now. They have kids together. Lynn, the paladin, and Lorelei Watersteel, the wizard. Blue Rose Guild, or I'm sorry, Red Rose Guild, being one of the most famous guilds in the world right now, putting down several dungeon breaks. Um, Made them pretty much celebrities, but also walking heroes amongst the world. They vowed that they would help uh, the. It was Red Rose Pirates, Blue Rose Guild. I'm caught up. Blue Rose Guild vowed that they would help the Red Rose Pirates, aka Caspian's crew, take down Desire, because they also have a beef with him that started over 20 years ago, back when they were freshmen in high school, and they lost half of their freshman year adventuring party. There were many other circumstances that forced these two groups apart, however. Um, but before this, the Blue Rose Guild acted as a sort of like father figure and like a mentoring role to the party, instructing them on how to be adventurers and how to save people and like what they wanted best and what they thought would be best for the group, and even warned them of the dangers of larger parties. But nevertheless, this was now a war born out of necessity for survival. And with that, everybody intended on using every dirty trick, every hidden technique, every weapon. If they broke their swords, they'd pick up a stone. Everybody was committed to doing everything possible by mortal standards, and even some divine standards, to stop Desire from winning. They already had an idea where he was going to attack, as he left Hellgates at several major cities, including Somerset, where they believe he will attack personally, leaving the others to demon and devil generals. So, well, the MM decided who was going to be defending where and what. Uh, Blue Rose Guild and Red Rose Pirates did some training exercises where Blue Rose Guild realized that not only have Red Rose Pirates caught up to them in way less time, they have the potential to even surpass them and become something far greater. And as long as they knew that, they knew they'd be okay. Um, we would then fast forward only a few hours to the moment of the attack where the gates start to open, and in the middle of Somerstead is a massive, floating, infernal citadel. 7 crystals would be shot out into the city, creating a defensive ward. The party is then dispatched to kill the devil generals protecting the warded areas, um, and open the gates so that Desire can be fought directly. The first group to fight him is Milo Falgridge and the Blue Rose Guild. And they fight him very valiantly, getting help from some MM agents, while Red Rose Pirates continue to focus on the front lines and thinning out the devil and demonic invasion host. Just trying to thin the numbers down as much as they could until they've pushed Desire too far and he summoned Calfaxus from beneath the city. A massive, hulking, 1,400 foot long, 2,800 foot tall dragon would appear with like a salamander like visage made out of pure flames surrounding it. Outside of that, its core body was more of a dragon's, just made out of pure magma and stone. A beast of true flame, as it would let out a mighty savage roar that flattens buildings and shatters glass for miles, killing plenty of people who were just too close to the beast. Demons, devils, and humans alike were instantly wiped out by the force of this thing's roar. And with that, Blue Rose Guild would have to shift their focus now to trying to stall this beast, while Red Rose Pirates instinctively, noticing the swap, go for Desire to prevent him from healing or regenerating. Inside, they would find a dead kill team of MM agents, and Desire pretty much just flaunting how hard they have to try to just take him out, and it's more than just him in this war, you know? Nevertheless, a fight would ensue that ends in nearly a draw, despite the fact that the party is much stronger than when they first met, and their numbers are much larger. They still struggle to even land like consecutive blows against the being known as Desire, as he has skyrocketed in power, something far beyond anything they can really ever hope to control or even grasp. And with this, he's able to keep the party on their toes, from being able to stop time, to teleport, to creating explosions with his mind. Countless spells on top of that, a sword made of lightning and a flaming whip. He is able to push the party back anytime they think they can go on the offensive. And while they're on the defensive, he can stand there and do nothing for long enough to make them anxious. It is clear that they are dancing to his tune, and so they decide to retreat after realizing that they're probably just going to keep making him stronger. Um, so upon retreating from Desire, they would pause the recording. Right. Um, so after falling back from their fight with Desire, the party starts to realize that though the MM is doing the best they can't help but get overrun by the sheer amount. I didn't mention it initially, but the seven sins have descended by this point in the battle. I guess ascended technically, and with them so have the seven great angels who were deigned to meet them in battle. This is causing massive destruction all across Somerstead. This is the world physically cannot handle a battle of this repulsion, and or the fighters that can are trying their best to help lay low these mighty devils, as the MM is begging heaven to stop interfering because they're just making things worse in their own words. Angels, devils, demons, and man all clash on one bloody battlefield. And as the party retreats from Desire's castle, they notice they're being pushed back. They're outnumbered, they're outmanned, their enemies are fiercer than them. Their enemies don't feel fear. Their enemies are resistant to magic and very weak spells. On top of that, a loathsome Vrock hive has been brought out to the battlefield, which is spawning Vrocks like pollen. And as numerous as they are, they begin to blacken the sky. Machine gun rounds cannot pierce them fast enough, for they keep coming back, angrier, stronger, smarter. And as the party gets pushed back, they remember distinctly Bishop saying, "Don't worry, if things go bad, we do have a plan." And they remembered not all of their friends are here. There is no Nyx, as she went home. There is no Levine. They have heard from him briefly. since his return to the Feywilds, but not much beyond that. Additionally, Jafan even made friends that have yet to make their faces known. And that's exactly what happens. No Luna on the battlefield, just fear. When all of a sudden, the ground would begin to creak, as they can feel what seem to be powerful waves of ancient magic washing over them. Give me a second. And as they would kind of fall back to like their sort of last stand position, a place they were really never supposed to get to this early, they would kind of look over to Bishop, who seems to be just clenching her staff in a very tense manner, very stressed, as she begins like biting her nails. Come on, come on, come on. And looking with ask, Bishop, please tell me you have a plan. Please tell me you have something. And she's just like, I have faith, Morgan. And as she says that, there's going to be an opening of a massive portal in the sky as astral barges begin to descend from the astral sea containing hordes of astral elves and cannons aimed down, preparing to blow into the infernal horde. As portals open on their left and right, on their left would emerge Levine and Aelwyn on the back of a giant golden dragon, thousands of warriors coming in behind them. And to their right would be Nyx, leading the spears of Athena, as well as the Eurasians and even the lightning bolts of Zeus. Several Therosian factions fallen behind under her banner. And even further still, they can see Cassandra Stormborn, Cynthia Thalandra, and even Jet coming out of portals all the way to the right of the battlefield. A new massive army has just been formed, and they are poised to strike at the heart of Desire's formations. And with this, Levine would just turn and smile at Morgan before pointing his blade forward and absolutely charging into the heart of the demonic swarm with Aelwyn at his back, dauntless, um, running in close behind in her half dragon form, carrying a massive greatsword. With this, Morgan would turn to Bishop. He would go, how long have you known about this? Bishop's going to say, I made a few calls, let's say. And with this, the fight would be reignited. Them hitting the front lines once more, this time with much more manpower and much more force. And the additional element of the Astral Sea ships bombarding the Infernals from up high have turned the odds in their favor almost irreparably. Meanwhile, the Blue Rose Guild still struggle to even distract Calfaxus for long enough to not have him fire upon these ships. As they continue their fight, it gets so intense that the entire centermost part of Somerstead actually crumbles and drops several hundred feet into a massive tunnel. Um, this is actually where Calfaxus used to gestate and live under the city. And now they're directly where he was born, pretty much. The myth that became Calfaxus. As they continue to fight uh, very bitterly against this infernal horde, they realize these new enforcements won't be enough. And as they come to this realization, Calfaxus stands on his rear two legs, mouth pointed upwards, and begins channeling a massive fireball. Luckily, they had um, a bomber plane carrying gallons upon hundreds of gallons of water that were dropped on top of it the second it tried this, as they were aware of this attack beforehand. And after very narrowly stopping it, the party becomes trapped hundreds of feet below where the fighting is happening. Devils and demons pouring in still from the sky, whether they be winged or just diving down with the hopes of landing and getting back up to fight. They care not, as long as they die. Those are Desire's orders. Marengon begin lining the lip of the cavern, firing shots down as the party has to take cover behind buildings. And as they do, they're stuck down there for several minutes. In fact, it turns into a span of almost 4 hours. And as they're stuck, the time is counting down, and the sun has finally dipped below the horizon. And they now notice that a magical darkness has encroached upon the world. For the next 68 hours, there will be no sunlight to fight in. The world has gone dark officially. So, for very real fear starts to set in of if they lose, even if they fail to stop the fire within the 72 hours, there's nothing that can be done. The darkness will be permanent. They won't be able to defeat him. And over the course of the next few hours, many heroes would fall. Milo Fogridge would be killed by Desire. Valra would burn herself out with her own powers. And in a bitter attempt to use abjuration magic to hold Calfaxus still, Lorelei, Watersteel, and Lynn have completely crushed their own bodies with the weight of Calfaxus, holding him still for just moments, giving the party time to unleash a decent counterattack. And as this happens, the party is still just trapped beneath the city. The fighting has been going on for hours. Many combatants have fallen. The party is regrouped in this tunnel where they see Calfaxus charging another blast, this one aimed directly for them. And as they would notice this, um, Bishop is going to just squeeze her staff. And then she's going to go to Rook and just kind of pat him on the head. Her son, he's 27 at this point. She goes, "You know, Rook, I know I wasn't always there for you. And I wish I had a chance to watch you grow." As she's going to deliver a kiss to him on the forehead. She then looks to Morgan and the party and says, "Do you think you could draw its attention for a moment?" To which they nod, unsure of her plans, but knowing that if Bishop is going to do something, it's going to be big and they shouldn't be in the way of it. The party is able to deal enough damage to Calfax to get him to turn his attention, and as he does, Bishop would quickly jump atop of the lip of this cavern they've now found themselves in, teleporting directly underneath Calfaxus and creating an arcane barrier covering the entirety of him, before snapping her staff of the Magi, creating a massive, almost nuclear explosion blasting Calfaxus. In the meantime, Desire, after his battle with the Blue Rose Guild, Nylon's Nigus, and several other heroes of the MM, he has found himself limping, weak, and unable to regenerate, unable to control Calfaxus as he feels his grip slip. For a moment there, he fears the beast dead as he sees this massive explosion, and only 10 hours have elapsed by this point. He looks up, concerned, before he notices the death count is around 743 million, meaning he's going to win this. It's going to be nasty, but mankind has finite numbers. He does not. With a smile on his face and half of his body destroyed, he just lays and rests himself up upon a rock, watching the chaos unfold. Meanwhile, the heroes begin to grieve for the loss of Elustriel. However, with the defeat of Calfaxus, all that remains is the serpent Desire. And the party would go on a mad hunt, searching through the city, knowing he's weakened and wounded, and knowing he's probably hiding to regenerate. And they cannot allow that to happen. Thousands of battles are happening around the world as they speak, and all of them are relying upon Desire's death. And so, after several minutes of searching, upwards of 45 minutes could have been spent, they finally find him, and they finally deliver the killing blow. And as they do, Eora Sotha, one of the mind leaders, she basically works with Nisidrin and several other psychic wizards to psychically communicate the information from each battlefield to the next to ensure that everybody in the world knows exactly what's happening. Her voice is going to come over loud and proud as she would shout, Calfaxis is dead, the battle is won. And with this, the party go back to the edge of the ravine to stare at Calfax's deceased body. Levine would be hugging Eowyn tightly. Morgan goes up to Caspian and Ajax, as Nisidrin would teleport onto the battlefield, running over and jumping into Morgan's arms as they share a nice embrace. Before they both kind of unlatch and look around awkwardly. Um, Irfan is probably holding Corey close. Corey's mother, Fandriel, would have also been a small part, but definitely a fighter in this battlefield. She is grievously wounded, but it's not fatal. They would go up to comfort their mom. And as they do, it's just a really sweet moment. Um, as I mean, soldiers are raising their guns in celebration. Now there's still fighting to be done, of course. There's still plenty of devils and demons still prowling this battlefield. But with the loss of Calfaxis and Desire, there can really be no equal. Like that is such a heavy loss that this victory seems almost guaranteed now. Um, they would continue their like celebration almost. Nyx would go up, finally meeting Cassandra for the first time, as the rest of the party would also be introduced to Cassandra and Cynthia Thalandria. Jafon would then explain about him and Corey's adventures in the misfit land of the Feywilds. This is a very touchy subject for the couple, but it's very wholesome that they came to help in their time of need. Even seeing Jack grow up put such a huge smile on Fawn's face. Um, I'm forgetting. Oh, another character I actually forgot about is Rinmora, who is revealed to be alive at this point, and she was an instrumental piece of this battle, helping Drafon take out Virgil the Drow and his matron mother, as they were protecting one of the seven crystals that Desire had used to protect his castle. The party is reunited with Rinmora for the first time since sophomore year, so almost 2 decades ago, and everything is just so happy as everybody reconvenes. They haven't seen Nyx in a few years. Um, Additionally, they met up with no, that guy's definitely dead. Never mind. Um, but that's not all they feel. As all of a sudden the earth would shake, and they look around, but there's nothing. Instead, they feel like almost a pulsating sensation, almost like a heartbeat. And as they begin to look around, their hearts all sink to the ground as fear becomes reality. The flames of Calfaxis start to burn brightly once again as his body slowly reanimates, now no longer controlled by desire, a being of pure destruction and wrath that has just been unleashed to the world. Desire once acted as more of a safety net, a harness for Calfaxis's unyielding rage. But now the beast is free, free to do what it wants, free to seek out what it craves, and what it craves most is destruction. It wants to shower the world in flames. And as it finally stands up, half its size due to Illustriel's blast, it would let out a mighty roar. And as it does, this roar is so powerful it actually knocks the party off their feet before it comes marching on over to the hole. And Morgan would notice it first. Is it smiling? He would ask. Caspian's like, no, no way. Um, Actually, there's a moment I forgot. John, if you could pause it.